And we're back. Game number 2 in our best-of-5 finals for our playoff bubble race. And one of these two teams will be joining us in Las Vegas based on their performance here tonight. Vici certainly making their case in Game 1 as they walked away with a 40-minute win. Just so good in translating any kind of a mid-game edge into a late-game advantage. IG, well, they were in decent shape for a little while in Game 1, but a couple of disastrous fights that just put things out of reach. They tapped out. And Vici now ready to make it 2 in a row. IG, though, wants to turn this best-of-5 into a best-of-3 if they can knot things up 1-1. The draft underway. Clockwork and Vino lead things off for IG. Vici snags up that early Pugna pick to break down the draft as well as lend his insight and analysis as he has throughout the entire tournament. Welcome in once again, Ben Merlini-Wu. And Ben, well, you kind of mentioned Venomancer was not really getting the same amount of attention. Now all of a sudden he's back to being first pick status. You know, he's back in the first draft phase kind of a status. We are going to see an extremely strong mid-game or early to mid-game pairing, though, of Pugna and Bristleback back out from Vici Gaming.
10 seconds
Going with a
remaining.
Pugna and Bristle too, so a lot of the first bands that we saw in the Game 1 will actually be first picked in Game 2, so this will probably take a completely different pace of game though. Pugna very good at early pushing, Bristle decent at early fighting, Venomancer good at pushing and like applying pressure around the map, but I doubt we'll see mass 5v5 clashes like we saw last game. Last game was quite the pleasure to watch.
It absolutely was, and it was one of those bizarre games that starts out really quiet, and it's like, yeah, 6 kills, 12 minutes, whatever. We're meandering through the early phases. Then it was just 5-on-5 pretty much the entire way through for the next 20 minutes or so. But seeing Pugna and Bristleback picked up, Clockwork obviously a great pick for IG as always. But what Vici, again, it's kind of become the storyline around this team is just how good they are in the early phases of the game. They've got 2 heroes that can make things happen in that early phase right out the gate, and Pugna and Bristleback. And Clockwork usually wants to get on top of heroes, but Bristle kind of doesn't mind that. I mean, Bristleback's one of those guys who's tanky, survivable. Pugna, obviously, he's a little bit squishy, but for the most part, he wants to fight too. He has a skill set that makes him a great pusher, makes him a great support if you want to run him that way. You can even farm him if you want to. We saw Alliance, for example, and Fnatic in the West both have success running the Pugna as a one-position hero. So Vici has a lot of flexibility built in here, and they can kind of do what they want. We see them banning out the anti-mage very early, though, and I think that what they're trying to do is force Invictus into a game style that Vici prefers. Let's not try to go too late. Let's just try to make the crux of the match between 15 and 25 minutes.
Yeah, this is going to be an interesting game, and Vici banned out the anti-major too. I think it's a very good ban out, and IG banned out Super's DK. Super just plays, I think his 2 best heroes are DK and the Storm Spirit like we saw last game, and he just plays those 2 heroes phenomenally.
Mm-hmm. And I'm not going to lie, as we wait on the rest of the bands to come out, I had mentioned it before, I was actually asked by one of our viewers who I thought would win. And on Twitter, and I have no stake in this. Unlike some people, I don't bet rares on matches I cast, Merlini. But I have no stake in it. But I did say that I thought that if Vici won Game 1, they would end up taking the series in 3 or 4 games over IG. And I felt like if IG won Game 1 and was able to just kind of take control of the series pace from that point on, they would end up winning in 4 or 5. So we'll see if that pans out, but I really like Vici's chances now that they have a 1-game lead. They can go ahead and start picking. You don't want to call it unorthodox, as you said. I mean, these are 2 heroes in Bristle and Pugna that were first banned in Game 1, so it's not as like, oh, they picked all this weird stuff. But I do feel like they're going to be able to narrow themselves and feel like they have a bit of a throwaway game in this game right here and just say, okay, we're just going to go all in on what we love to do. If it doesn't work, it's fine. It just becomes a best-of-3 because we're tied up 1-1. But if we manage to get a win here, then we can try to close the series out quick with a Game 3 win.
Turn to pick.
Yeah, this is going to be a very interesting game. I'm still waiting to see how the drafts develop, whether Vici just wants to go for a hard push strategy. IG sometimes like to play greedy and just Midas it up, but as we saw last game, it wasn't really that style at all. And I really do like the decision from how to just go phase drums, BKB, and fight with the team because they really needed the early game pressure. And as I said, the Nyx Assassin was just way too much for IG to handle. The threat of him being able to pick anyone off with Super just kind of forced Invictus game into 5 minutes. And Vici, that's perfect for Vici. Vici's 5 minutes just so incredibly strong. As they took a T1 engagement on bottom, the T1 engagement in mid. We saw how damn good they are at that.
Oh, yeah, and I think that Nature's Prophet pick actually surprises me for exactly that reason. Pugna and Bristle, they're not going to have a problem. I mean, Bristleback's a hero. Yeah, he benefits a ton from farm, but really only needs 1 or 2 items at most. And when I say 1 or 2 items, I don't even mean big items. If he's able to get up a Vanguard and maybe even just a Vit booster, as the case may be, he can start to run with the team so long as you draft a team that is going to be able to keep him alive. You know, heroes that can get up a quick mechanism, so on and so forth. We saw how good Vici was at forcing Invictus into 5-man situations, and I feel like they're already showing that with these front two. Then a Nature's Prophet is picked up by IG. Now, a Nature's Prophet obviously is good in some ways at creating issues for that kind of a playstyle because he could split push, but he does need usually 1 or 2 items to really feel strong in that way. And the problem with the Prophet, if he's unable to get his legs underneath him, if you're unable to free the map up and give him room to operate, then Vici's going to be able to basically force IG to fight in a situation where that Prophet might not be ready to come in and contribute a whole lot of damage, only contributes so much control with Sprout and so on. And with the Crystal Maiden pickup, I think that kind of jives with what I was saying. This is a lineup in the front 3 already that is going to be happy to just hook up and start wrecking mayhem across the map and under towers very quickly.
It's going to be difficult to push into Venomancer or Plague Wards too, especially if they have Nature's Prophet, Nature's Call Treants, Micro to great effect, and IG has some good split push of their own. It's not as strong as a Pugna, but it's still decently strong and should keep Vici on their toes. Gyrocopter pickup, I think that's a much safer carry than Luna because Luna doesn't really Luna Eclipse just gets completely blocked by BKB, whereas Gyrocopter still does a ton of flak damage, has better AoE, much better spread with 1000 range on his flak compared to the minor bounce from the glaives, and cooldown still goes to BKB too. And I think Gyrocopter has a lot more to offer in the early and mid game engagements, although he is slightly weaker on the push. So I think IG would prefer Gyrocopter much more over Luna.
Yeah, I agree with you there. I think that Gyrocopter is a nice answer to everything we've kind of been talking about. Vici's ability to try and take fights early. You put that with Clockwork's Reach. And now they're going to grab us the Wind Ranger. And I don't know that I'll ever get used to calling her Wind Ranger instead of Windrunner, but I'll try. But Wind Ranger, again, a hero who can be a very high value early on, just needs a little bit of levels. And well, the thing I really like about Vici right now is how in the hell are they going to lane this? Like, how do you even begin to predict this? Pugna could be a 1. He can be a 2. Pugna could be a support. Crystal Maiden, yeah, usually she's going to do what she's going to do. You can farm the Bristleback, or you can send him off lane, and he does well there. Wind Ranger, the exact same way. You can run her mid if you want to. You can even farm her if you want to do something goofy with her and try something different. There are just so many options in the way Vici can make these lanes work for them, whereas IG is kind of locked into what they're going to do. Clockwork wants a solo lane. Gyrocopter wants a safe lane farm. Venomancer is going to support the Gyro. Prophet is either going to be off lane or in the jungle. So Vici is going to be able to just read IG's lineup and laning phase and make adjustments as needed.
Yeah, at the same time, though, Vici almost never sends anyone but super and mid, and almost nobody but ROTK in the off lane. So even though their heroes are a little bit flexible, once they see the hero picks, then they'll be able to scout out. Maybe they can do some shenanigans with switching, but that is one of the downsides of having just the same person go mid over and over. But at the same time, if they're really good at that role, then why not? The Chen pickup from IG, they'll be really good for the early game. I think that IG has to do a different type of game than last game, which is try and outclass them in the 5-man engagements, because Vici showed how strong they are. So IG, they need to get an early game. They need to split push Vici and kind of take them away from their normal game. I like how they went a much different strategy than game 1.
Yeah, this is a very different look, not just from game 1, but in general, from what we've been seeing in Eastern play for the most part. I mean, we saw Chen throughout our group stage play have a lot of up and down performances, and it's been a while since we've seen Chen picked. Wow, we're going to see Necrophos picked up by Vici. That's another one I'm going to have a hard time adapting to his name change, but Necro gives them even more sustainability. Necro plus Pugna, I mean, just look at how much spam they have in these heroes. How the longer these fights go, they're just going to be able to cast so many abilities. IG, if they're caught out and forced into a fight early, especially if they are unable to get up a very quick mechanism, I would honestly just about prioritize the Prophet getting the mech up and let Shen just go something like Arc Boots. Because Vici, if they get ahead at all and they're able to set the tone of this game, they're going to be able to get on IG and stay on IG. And it's going to be so hard for them to just weather the storm in terms of how much, how easily spammed down they're going to be in comparison to VG.
Yeah, I think that IG needs to win the laning phase, IG needs to win the laning phase, or else Vici is just going to 5-man all the towers, take down all the T1s, get an early mech, and just constantly pressure IG. So IG needs to delay that death push as long as possible. And
Yep.
winning the laning phase is the best way to do it. So I'm really looking to Banana to make things happen. Also, TP rotations from YYF will be instrumental. And also Faith too. Gyrocopter will be Gyrocopter. He should just farm up, but everyone else should try and be active around the map. Ferrari in the very active Clockwork solo mid role.
And Hal dipping his nose down here all by his lonesome. We've got a 5-man move out from VG. And yeah, like I really love this lineup from VG. I mean, just between Death Pulse and Nether Blast alone, to say nothing of ROTK's Quill Spray, just over and over and over again. Not only is it going to be able to keep VG standing, it's going to do so much damage to IG in the early game. They're just going to have to be on point with their movement. They have to dodge these fights early. If they're caught out, and what worries me is if they end up losing this top tier 1 and their mid tier 1 early, and they lose all this real estate, more or less, their map control is going to evaporate based on those two alone, because VG will have no reason to do anything but 5-man through the jungle, try to get one catch out, especially if they're able to just play a pick and push style, take away jungle farm, take away any farm potential in the safe lane. This is a game that could just get away very, very easily. And IG is not going to have all that much damage in the early game. I mean, in general, a Gyrocopter is going to want to build survivability early, not damage. Nature's Prophet, especially if they do end up rushing something like a Mechanism just to give them a little bit of a chance to fight. Even if he builds a Shadow Blade, he's not going to have all that much damage output. Clock's great at locking down a single target. Chin is great at extending fights. But Chin's advantage in this is really kind of negated by Necrolite. Death Pulse allows him to extend the fights on his own terms, and as you said, an early Mechanism just makes him all the more potent.
It really is on IG to kind of take VG away from their element, though, what their lineup is going to dictate. And if Chen plays passively, tries to farm a fast mech and a fast 6, it's not going to be a good game for them. So Banana has to get active and get active early.
Here in mid, it will be Super on our Pugna. I love the choice on both sides, actually. I love that they've given Ferrari the clock. And it was the obvious choice, but having a Clockwork in mid, guaranteeing him a very quick 6, guaranteeing him a certain amount of farm, and at least one usually fairly quick item, be it a 4-staff or a BKB, whatever he wants to prioritize, is just going to allow him to manage these fights that are going to be heading their way much more effectively. YYF here on the Prophet is going to have to be very careful in this off lane, as FY is right there with him, and we can already see Fenrir going to work in the jungle.
Go for early boots first build, so he shouldn't be in that much trouble. Siler can't really threaten him that much, and Shackle Shot doesn't last very long at level 1, only 1.5 seconds. So not really, YYF shouldn't really be too worried, but they do have 2 range heroes, which is really good for constantly harassing him. He did get pulled a little bit of regen, but it won't be enough come like 3 or 4 minutes into the game.
ROTK looks like he could be our first blood, will be our first blood, as Hal dove him and tangoes through the ensuing tower damage. So didn't see the Gale land, but Faith obviously was on the mark with it. And we see Super trying to catch Hal on his way back to safe territory. Not going to be the case, though. So first blood, an early advantage for IG. Certainly a nice start for them. The Chin pick is something that I want to focus on, and you've hit on it quite a bit. I feel like the early movement out of Banana is going to be clutch. Like you said, if they just sit back and try to play a passive Chin, I don't know that that's really going to give them what they need. As we get closer to 10 and 15 minutes into the game, they're going to want to gank and move a lot with him. What's going to be his number 1 target? Is the job to hold down Super, or do you have other? What do you think? Are there other more high priority targets in mind?
I think one on pretty much any of the heroes are equally important. Like Siler is equally important as Super, as equally important as ROTK. Maybe ROTK a little bit less than other ones. ROTK also needs a TP scroll, because if they go on him, he's going to die again unless he has a TP scroll. So I'll be checking for that. But yeah, Super is going to get a decent amount of levels in mid, and even if he dies, he's just going to TP right back into being in a pretty safe position. And they do have a ward here, so it's going to be extremely difficult for him to gank Super, but at the same time, it's extremely difficult for him to gank Siler, because he has to run all the way across the map to kill him. And on top of that, Furion is not the best gank partner this early into the game.
Yeah, I can't help but feel like mid really is the number 1 target. Like you said, he's got a ward down already. Banana's picked up a smoke, though, so no sentry down here in mid as of yet, at the very least. But if they're able to bring the Furion out...
Sentries don't help anymore.
Yeah. But
they don't actually reveal... Even if you're looking at them, you can't see it anymore.
That's right. I forgot about that change. But nonetheless... if he decides to move his way down, just being able to bring in YYF and teleport him on top of Super, that's probably going to be the best bet for the reasons you just named. I mean, Furion's much better as a +1, not as a guy who you rotate someone down to help out. Going to be a bit of a race up. There's a Decrepify on the Ferrari. Super will be able to get the illusion rune. So 3-man race won by the little guy with the popped collar.
Super, as Pugna, one of the fastest heroes in the game, though, 370 move speed with boots. Clockwork's pretty darn fast with himself at 365, but there's no way that Banana at 300 is going to catch up to him. So a little bit unfortunate for IG. Very good movement from Super there, double blasting the wave at level 5 to push out the wave and then immediately go into that rune.
So far, a very quiet early game, 4.5 minutes in. Really haven't seen a whole lot of attempt, but that's going to change as VG has 2 under cover of smoke. That'll be FY and Fenrir rotating their way up. They're going to try to hook up with ROTK and bring down one of these targets. A kill on Hal right now would be absolutely clutch. And we'll see if they're able to make it happen. Fenrir down on the low ground. I can't tell if he was spotted by that. And Hal...
The smoke popped from Venno. I don't think he was spotted.
Yep. Saw it pop, and now they're going to know he's there as Fenrir auto-attacked one of the wards. So ROTK moving forward. Hal's right on top of him, though. And, yep, definitely spotted out now. Looks like they're just basically playing a little bit of a cat and mouse so far. In the jungle, Chen remains relatively inactive, just kind of doing his own thing. We'll see if anything's going to happen up here so far, just basically taking whatever gold they can get from the Venno wards.
Nice scouting from Super here with his illusions, making sure that they can keep track of this Chen. He is level 5 right now, and he has 2 creeps, so that's actually very fast jungling from Banana.
And this top lane, there's a Gale on ROTK. He's still got help behind the tower. They're going to try to track him down. Rocket Barrage active, and there's going to be the Nova. ROTK cleaned up. Frostbite's there with a power shot to follow it up, but not a whole lot else. We saw Nature's Wrath come out as well, but the damage, not as much as they would have liked. IG manages to make it back wholly intact. The Nature's Wrath from YYF just enough to damage down Fenrir and force him to back off as well.
Man, very smart play from Super here. He knows that those people are missing and does not push out the wave in mid. They were looking for him up the hill from a hook shot from this angle, but now he knows that they're back in mid. They had the ward up the hill, so...
And Ferrari now, under cover of an invis, might look to make something happen at bottom. It is a lone Necrolite here in this bottom lane, and he will be able to get into position. He is level 6, has a hook ready. Siler will be barely able to make it back into tower range. And it looks like he sniffed it out. Yep, and he's hiding way down in the woods, not liking the fact that Ferrari was absent at all.
Yeah, Vici's doing a very good job of dodging ganks right now. He did place a ward in mid, and looks like Banana will scout it out. Do they have any sentry wards? Faith does have 1 sentry ward to his name, so being able to de-ward that mid ward is going to be very important because they've been able to dodge Clockwork ganks as of now, but with vision down should be very difficult for them. Banana very well on his progress to mech, but 2-0, this is a very comfortable lead for IG, I'd say. 2,000 gold lead too, and keeping ROTK down. I did not expect him to die this many times on top lane. Like, you even buy a TP score with your first 135 gold at that point.
ROTK, very close to level 6. And we can see Ferrari is just hanging out, man. He wants a kill down here. And Siler is not about to give it to him.
Patience from Siler.
Yes.
And patience from Ferrari.
Ferrari's just kicking it, dude. He's having a smoke. He's doing his thing in the woods. Nature kind of a guy. Fenrir and FY have been kind of kicking it, too. Rotating around quite a bit. And so far...
It's pretty good Midas timing from YYF.
Oh, yeah. For an off-lane Furion, absolutely. 7.5 minutes.
Siler still doesn't feel safe.
Yep. He's got help on the way. At least one, anyway. FY making his way down. It looks like Fenrir grabbing up some boots. And Siler just... I was going to say, doesn't he want to come out from under his... doesn't he want to come out under his tower? Only feels safe whenever he's tucked in between the bushes. Now that FY's there, though, should feel a little bit more safe. We still see a lot of activity as YYF poked his nose over, but we will see Ferrari now heading back to mid.
FY and Fenrir have really not done anything this game. They're not really high level either, so they haven't been pulling level 4.5 on either both of those heroes. Compare that to level 6.5 Chen and level 6 Venomancer.
Super. Caught out behind his own tower. Decrepify. Not enough to save him. Ferrari is eating a lot of tower damage, but the aggro switched off. Oh, here we go. Rotation over from ROTK. Gets one with the kill spray, and YYF might be in some trouble too, eating a lot of the nasal goo. The quill spray Does such good damage at this stage, and there you go, a double kill for ROTK, and he'll be able to grab a double damage.
It was a tower, though. So still decent trade for IG. Killing Super is really important this phase and delaying his mech.
They do decide to glyph it. Not going to change anything, though, as IG's able to take it. So 2-3, 9 minutes in. Kind of familiar feeling. Down at bottom, though, there's a lot of damage being done between Fenrir and Sylar to this tier 1 as well.
They have the Basilius up on Sylar, so the push is coming out decently, but still Necrolite is not that farmed at all. He has 50 CS, actually second most in the game, but I think YYF is probably on top of net worth compared to him.
Yep, certainly is. Leading by more than 1,000 gold already at just 10 minutes in. We've got the potential for a clash on the way as FY and Super are making their way down. IG gets Ferrari into position. They've got 3 heroes down here, Hal, Faith, and Ferrari looking and spoiling for a fight. FY and Super are right outside of range right now, and they're going to see that ward. And there goes the rocket. They know what's up. This could turn around on IG very badly. Decrep on the Ferrari, and down goes another ward as well. Shackle doesn't latch as Ferrari hooks his own teammate to escape. So Vici able to ward away the pressure. In the meantime, though, the mid tower has dropped to YYF with the help of some of the chin creeps.
IG's playing fantastic in this early game. They should actually be down on towers versus the Pugna and Necrolite, but they are not. And the early movement from the Chen, the 2 kills on ROTK on top really set the pace for the game because the 2 supports had to rotate from bottom to top, and that let YYF get her free level 6 and a Midas, which he pretty much shouldn't be able to, especially in a 3-on-1 situation. And then ROTK is still underfarmed after that. So those 2 kills were just so important on ROTK, and without that, IG would be in a pretty bad position. But they've killed Super once, they killed ROTK twice, and those supports have no deaths, but they haven't actually done anything either.
It's actually alarming, the lead that IG has built to this point. Very near 7,500 gold advantage, and only a 1 tower down, or 2 towers down now. That's actually huge. Now we're going to have Super caught out. He's going to end up dropping. ROTK is there. And the Sprout there locks YYF and ROTK in. He will end up dropping here. Power shot there, misses, and a little bit wide. We'll be able to track him down. Hand of God bought a little bit of time. They end up trading 1 for 1 profit for Super. But as of right now, I got to admit I'm surprised. And as you said, it comes down to just how well IG's playing. They're setting the tone for this game and not allowing VG to do anything in terms of setting the pace.
Yeah, they're just YYF and Ferrari are doing a really good job. Well, YYF not so much because he's TP'd and died to Principal twice, but Ferrari just has like all the rooms to 2 invises and just being able to capitalize on those, translate those into kills, and just doing a good job of making Vici feel threatened. This is like right under the T2 as well. That's where they killed Super, and he still died, and while Ferrari still escaped too. So I'm gonna say his clockwork play has been phenomenal this game, just very much setting the pace, just like the Nyx assassin did in the game prior.
Faith gonna be forced back. Big rotation from VG. It's getting to the point where VG is just going to have to try and make something happen. They really can't afford to just be... It feels like they're kind of on a leash right now, and IG just pulling them across the map and forcing them into situations they don't want to be in. I mean, that's obviously IG's game plan, but this is going to happen. Yeah, I was going to say a Roshan should be on the way soon. Mech done on Banana. Faith going to be sent back home. And this is...
They know what's going on, though.
Yep. FY scouts it with a power shot. And here comes ROTK. Sticks his nose down. Ferrari didn't take the bait on the hook. Roche at about half health. They continue to use the medallion. They are going to go ahead and clear out in the meantime. So this Roche attempt thwarted. But this is a situation where VG has a chance to capitalize. Let's see if IG is able to beat them positioning-wise.
I think that Vici can actually take this fight if they go in. Maybe not, they'll get trapped by cogs, but if they had a mech, I'd say they could do it, but without it, it's going to be a very difficult fight for them to take. They do have the medallion up on Venom. It's a smart play by the Chen to send him back, and then him getting the TP back to try and kill the Roshan as soon as possible. It's still a relatively low on HP, hovering around that 3,000 mark with the Plague Wards constantly bombarding him, but now Hao has TP to the left side. I think they actually could have gone as soon as they noticed that Hao was on the left side. Well, he is actually going to TP to mid, and here they go.
ROTK hooked upon by Ferrari following the Gale. ROTK doing what damage he can. There goes the Plague Ward. Shackles there, but Ferrari able to escape, and the mech from Chen keeps him alive. YYF TP's behind the fight. Call down will be there. They're going to rush right out of it, though. So Super manages to survive, but they take another good...
Mech.
Yep. And there's a decrep onto Hal. Shackle is going to be there, but the follow-up a little slow in coming. He will be able to scoot his way back across unfriendly waters and into the safety of his teammates. 3-5. Vici keeping it close kill-wise. However, that goal graph again, close to 7,500 to the advantage of IG. They've amassed just about 500 gold per minute lead from the moment this game began.
Yeah, still the supports on the side of Vici are doing absolutely nothing. 0, 0, and 0 on all three of those. ROTK been active in all 3 kills. 2 of them were pretty much just solo kills on Nature's Prophet, and they just really need to get more active around the map, and or just get some farm up and get a Midas up on Crystal Maiden, get some items up, get a 4-staff up on Windrunner so they can actually start doing something. But as of right now, Vici just kind of taken out of their element due to their very great early gameplay by IG. Had Super Mechs ROTK there, at least it would have been a 1-for-1 exchange killing Ferrari, and you really do need to stop Clockwork from getting really far ahead. He's about to have his blade mail too, so he can just trade against Pugna or Bristleback, a trade that he will be happy to do, especially since he might not actually die himself with a Chen heal with a send back.
Hal playing a little brave here, but able to make it away. And I'm really astounded with how well. I mean, when you look at IG, they just have complete control of the map. Vici is literally just being pulled to and fro and can never even set their feet in terms of trying to execute something they want to do. Siler moves over to help span this out, but in the meantime, the rest are just trying to jungle up. The supports are beginning to fall behind a little bit. They just now caught up, but I'm sure Ferrari and a few others, and Roche might actually be snuck in here, as the Treants are going to be there. They've got the medallion. Yeah, this is going to be a free Roshan unless they get there right now. Nope, got to be a little late. FY will shoot the power shot, but it's going to come a little late, and the H is still on the ground. They just let it hang out for a minute. It's fine. Here comes Hal. And finally,
the Windrunner pick is kind of a garbage pick because he hasn't done anything. He tried to zone out the Furion early, but he's not good at he's not been good at shackle shotting just because they have 4 range heroes and Clockwork. Clockwork's like usually going to be inside his cogs and not close to any of the other heroes, so they haven't been able to get shackle shot off. It's really good when there's melee or like someone like a lone druid who is a very natural target, shackling the bear to something else. But as it stands, I haven't seen that many good shackle shots aside the one from mid on Hao, but they weren't able to translate that into a kill. 3-0 and 0 on Hao, and they needed more active early game supports like Venomancer and Chen can start making things happen at level 1. One runner, maybe if you get a lucky rune, you can make something happen at level 1, or if you get boots, Crystal Maiden can make stuff happen at level 1, but not by herself.
Vici just feels picked apart right now. I mean, we just a free tower just taken by Hal. He just strolled up and took it. And Vici's going to smoke and try to do something here. But what's going to end up happening with the lane this pushed and Hal hanging out in the trees, he'll come out, start to push this lane, and Furion will come down to help push there as well with the Necro book up now. And Vici's going to end up wasting time up here. And we can see Vici happy to clear that out. Yep, here comes Hal. And wouldn't surprise me a bit to see YYF bounce down there momentarily. And they can still probably come up here and defend as they do have a glyph.
When you're taking your first tower 17 minutes in as a Pugna or with a Pugna on your team, you know things have gone terribly wrong for your early game. And it's kind of the same situation like IG were in last game, where they had to drop 4 of rewards and were constantly 5-maning around the map. You feel the same desperation from Vici here. They're like desperately trying to scramble a tower. They will lose a T2 for a T1, but that's a trade that they're happy to take because they're so far behind in gold right now. It's almost it's over 10,000 gold.
And just as predicted, that's exactly what happened. I mean, IG is just outthinking them. They're 1 and 2 steps ahead. They knew Vici was gone. They expected some kind of a gank attempt. So they hung back, waited, and they took a free tier 2. Well, I shouldn't say free. It did cost them a tier 1, but that's a trade they're not going to hesitate to make any chance they possibly can. And, you know, with Clockwork having the blade mail up right now, I don't even know what Vici can do. I mean, it's not that Vici has done anything in particular wrong. IG has just completely stretched the map. I don't know if you watch American football, but it's kind of like a spread offense. IG has just opened the entire map up, and no matter where Vici goes, IG is capitalizing on some other objective elsewhere.
I wouldn't say they did anything wrong. I think that they've done two things wrong. One is picking the Windrunner without actually making use of her, and second is just a very poor rotation from Crystal Maiden and Windrunner, because they know, or at least going into the game, you're like, well, we just need to gather up and push, so all we need to do is win the laning phase. But they didn't win the laning phase at all, and that's all the two supports had to do, whether it's just place a ward on top to make sure that Venomancer just doesn't wrap around from behind with a Chen. Yeah, if they have a smoke, you're gonna die, but aside from that, he shouldn't, and he definitely did not die to the use of a smoke. And they also weren't able to keep YYF out of the lane. So I would say that IG, they didn't win all three lanes. They definitely won top, and I would say they won bottom. Maybe not mid. Mid was just a wash. Hook shot onto Fenrir. Fenrir's going to die here.
Yep, caught up.
They get the Centaur though.
Blown up, and the Centaur does end up dropping. So at least they got something out of it. But yeah, they're actually going to go ahead and probably get the second one too. Yep, ROTK happy to take a little extra golden experience there. But, yeah, we're just 20 minutes in, but already 10,000 gold is the lead that has been amassed by IG. We can see Gyro in phenomenal shape. He's just about 2,500 gold ahead of the next nearest hero for Vici. This Necrolite pick, it just really hasn't seemed valuable at all. He really hasn't contributed a whole lot, and a lot of that comes down to their inability to really five-man the way they want to. But they need to do something with him. They need to get together. I mean, the smokes obviously aren't working. IG is running out of towers to take down, so I guess there's always that as a bright spot. There's only so many ways they can abuse you before they're going to have to five-man you and try to crack a tier 3. But what's the game plan, my friend? If you're in Vici's shoes, I mean, you're not that far behind in terms of being able to still do what you want to do, which is five-man. It's just going to be getting out of reach soon. How do you make that happen?
You five-man once the Aegis expires. You go for that small 2 to 5 minute window in between the Aegis expiration and the next Roshan, because they can't contest the next Roshan. They couldn't contest the previous one, and now that the gold lead is extended to around 10,000, they can't contest the next one either. So I think what they need to do is just go for a five-man in mid, on bottom, and just hope for the best. Hopefully, whoever gets hookshot gets immediately force-tapped out, and then you don't take too much damage from Call Down and Poison Nova, and just hope that you can execute pretty well with their mass survivability from the mech, from the Pugna Ward, from the Necrolite heal, and Bristleback constantly spraying, and hope you can win a fight like that before Gyrocopter gets too big. And same with Nature's Prophet. They're already both pretty big, but not to the point where it's unwinnable, but it's getting very close to there. If they wait to the third Roshan, it's going to be far too late for Vici to come back from, but they're very close to the cusp of just breathing their last breath, because their late game is very, very poor.
Faith picks up a hand to Midas, so he's already prepping himself to take the game late if needs be. Aegis will be reclaimed in 30 seconds. Ferrari picking up the Vid booster, sitting on 1,400 HP, and as our stats guy pointed out, Pugna sitting at sub 800. So in terms of who's going to be able to survive in a lot of these fights, especially when you factor in the chin heal, I just, it's getting to a point, I don't even know that VG can five-man that effectively. What they really need to do is get a pick and then try to force a five-man off balance.
Their lineup's really crappy for getting picks, though.
Yeah.
There's no way they're going to be able to kill the Gyrocopter, especially if his team is there. But he can pretty much just turn around, just BKB and ulti them in the face, and flacken, and they're going to be forced to retreat. But at this point in the game, there's no real reliable initiation. It's not like a Nyx Assassin like last game or Storm Spear with the jump. They had to rely on a Shackle, which is pretty far-fetched at this point. They have a gem, and they had to rely on a Frostbite from Crystal Maiden, but he can still cog, he can still get force-staffed away, he can still get send back, he can still get chin heal, and you can BKB out of it. There's just so many things to counter the initiation for Vici that they're not going to be able to get a clean kill.
I'm going to try to get one here. Shackle lands on YYF. He was just way overextended and eating a lot of damage now. Going to try to make it away and will be able to do so. YYF has to TP out. He's taking a lot of damage in the Necro Creep, so Book 3 doing its job there.
Yeah, it's just so difficult for them to get a pick, and that was a pretty good initiation on Nature's Prophet.
Fenrir, on the other hand, dead to rights, and ROTK knows he's got to get out right now. And, yep, tracked down, cleaned up. The battery assault knocked him out of the TP, and this one is already beginning to feel like it's out of reach.
Yeah, it really is. I think with the next Roshan and then one more team fight, and Vici should probably call GG. There's almost no comeback mechanic for them at this point, though.
Yep. They don't even have a late game hero that they can really bank on. I mean, again, maybe. I mean, it's just gotten to the point where that window closed that we were talking about, where it's like, yes, they're behind, but they're not so behind they can't still 5-man. I don't even know if they can 5-man right now. Like, how do you kill the Clockwork right now? Like, what's the plan there? How do you kill the Gyrocopter with a 10-second BKB ready to go? I really don't see it happening.
He has MKB too.
Yeah.
And I mean, even without the Chen heal and the mech and the send back, I don't think they could kill him. So with those tools too, and with Banana being a competent Chen player, I don't see it happening either. And yeah, maybe they can get like one kill with the Reaper Scythe and everything on one hero, but aside from that, it's just not really gonna do that well. And I think that IG drafted very well around a Pugna pick too, because none of the heroes are like really mana intensive. Nature's Prophet, you can just catch your ultimate from anywhere else. Then TP and Gyrocopter just BKB, so Pugna Lord not an issue. Clockwork, he's gonna hookshot in, which is his highest mana cost spell. Chen maybe is the one that may take the most damage, but he has his Chen creeps to rely on. Venomancer can just drop his wards and still be very effective. So I think that IG did a fantastic job of drafting this game and playing in the early game. Their play in the first 10 minutes was just phenomenal and set this mid game up for them for victory.
Ferrari right on top of Siler, and again, the Necrophos pick is the one that is really the big question mark to me. I just have he is 0-0-0. He's about to be nope, never mind. I was gonna say he might be 0-0-1-0, but he has done nothing. He pushed no towers. He's never really had a chance to hook up.
It's not really on him though. It's really on Super, but Super got far behind because his supports were there. So if his supports were able to zone YIF out, so he can't put a pressure on the map or protect Super, so that he can actually get an early mech, then they can 5-man. So I mean, Super, yeah, he's 0-2, and Necrophos is 0-0-0, but it's really on the support play that didn't allow the players to shine. I mean, they could have gone with a different pick too, just to secure for late game. So either don't draft Necrolite and then don't do anything with them, or they just need to actually do something with them and hook up with Pugna, as you said.
Yeah, that's the big thing I was driving at. Chat tree of you. We've already said Necrophos 10-1 record is the highest win percentage, 6.79. Which hero has the second highest with an 11-5 record? Guesses, Merlini?
Ooh, I don't know. I don't know a hero that's only been picked 16 times. That has to be a very low picked hero. Maybe and Spectre.
Spectre. That's an
Zeus. I'll say Zeus.
You're gonna go
Zeus
with
seems
Zeus.
about in that 15 hero pick range.
I'm trying to think too. I'm kind of in the same boat. I mean, you can't say like all of these situational picks that you see once in a while. Spectre's an interesting guess though. I've
seen him lose in like 20 minutes too many times though, I think.
Yeah. I'm honestly a little at a loss. Bristlebacks. I would have guessed Bristleback if it weren't for him being popular to this point. He's getting so much more popular that feels like he's maybe been played a little bit more than that.
Could be TA maybe.
TA is a good one. Hang on, we're gonna have YYF. Finally, maybe caught out. Yes, it took everything.
They have a sheep actually. That's a good follow on Siler.
Owes his record mostly the third highest win percentage hero, who is 30-14. Owes it to him. That's interesting. Anyway, Roche drops in the meantime. Do want to point out, like you said, you were very prescient in your prediction. It took two ultimates, and a shackle and a power shot to bring down YYF when VG jumped in. Anyway, the Roche is down. IG probably looking to close this out. And
14,000 gold. That is near insurmountable. 27 minutes in, and yeah, they'll get a pick here and there with the Scythe of Ice. But if IG just 5-man with the BKB, with the Necro 3, with the MKB, and the H-Sun Gyrocopter, that's a little bit too much to handle. And I mean, Clockwork has his fair share of farm too.
Tiny
Venomancer.
I just throwing that out there.
3,600 gold.
I think it's tiny. Yep, I was thinking about it. I think it's tiny. That's my guess.
It's a good guess.
Yeah, I think you're right with TA though. I think TA is a very good guess. Lifestealer, maybe. Lifestealer fell off hard.
Yeah, he has not only been picked 16 times. So.
Not Lifestealer, but the one I'm thinking of, because it's the hint and the has gave. I was thinking Puck's fallen off, but he hasn't fallen off that hard. It's heroes that obviously work in conjunction with another hero, based on the hint and the has gave. So I'm saying
with tiny.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
That sounds about right.
Chaos Knight. Oh well.
Oh,
that was close.
Yeah, it was really close.
Anyway,
Super in mid.
Yep, being tracked down. There's the mech through it, and mass TP's coming in. Ferrari though, Scepter's through, going to hook on top of him. There's the Poison Nova. Cooldown's going to be there. This could be our last fight. They really might call it after this. That's 3 down, soon to be 4. ROTK, tanky as he is, cannot take all that much damage. And it didn't even cost him the Aegis. Yep, there it is. So, IG took a tough loss in game 1, but just like that, a best of 5 becomes a best of 3. We're knotted up 1-1. Moving ahead to our 3rd game as Invictus Gaming and Vici continue to match wits and find out who will be heading to Las Vegas here in the finals of our Eastern Division playoffs of the HyperX D2L. So I think we kind of beat the topic to death coming down the stretch there, Ben. Basically, IG just played balls out, and Vici did not do what they had to do, which was take control of the laning phase.
You just need to draft very similarly to game 1 or ban out a hero, problematic hero like Clockwork and Nature's Prophet. Those were the 2 main big problems on the side of IG, and Ferrari and YOF both played pretty amazingly. Chat 0-0-0. That's a score that you don't see very often at the end of the game.
Yeah, 0-0-0-0-0-9. How about not a single death on Venomancer in a game that went almost 30 minutes? I mean, as good as you can play a Veno, usually poor little guy is going to be picked off at some point, just rather squishy and rather slow. But IG just put together, it was one of those games, only 16 kills and come in nearly 30 minutes. It felt very, very quiet, especially from Vici, but that was just because IG moved so damn well. And Vici, as much as they failed to really execute, in particular with the Crystal Maiden and the Wind Ranger, and we can see 001 for FY, so he was involved in very little. Crystal Maiden dying a couple of times and struggling there as well. I feel like a lot of that was just due to good anticipation, good vision, and overall good game plan from Invictus Gaming. So Vici won game 1, drops game 2, all knotted up, and down to a best of 3 situation. 4-12, the final kill score as IG triples up. Vici, 28 minutes, 50 seconds, the official game time. I'm your host, Aaron AC Chambers, the voice on the other end of the mic. His name is Ben Merlini. Make sure you check him out at Merlini Dota. He's a great educational streamer, the kind of guy if you're really getting into the nuts and bolts of the game, you want to learn from a former professional. Make sure you check him out everywhere, especially on YouTube. It's youtube.com/Merlini Dota. You can find us both on Twitter as well. I'm at EC. He's at Merlini Dota, and all that fun stuff. So 2 games behind us, 2 of the 5. And this is beginning to look like it's one that could go to the distance. And IG really coming back into form. Vici, though, we'll see if they can get their draft back under control and take control of that early game as we've seen them do effectively so many times. We'll be right back here on the HyperX D2L with Game 3 of this best of 5. Stick with us.